All right, y'all. ¿Cómo andamos? How we doing? Here we go. Here we go. Finally found a new dog groomer. So really excited about that. Um, el chisme. I had a reliable dog groomer, or at least a spot where I had a friend that worked there. They ended up quitting because apparently there was these two huskies that were a little rowdy. So whenever they would come around, they would put all the dogs away, hide them in the back, little gates or crates and all that. And for whatever reason, the owner of this establishment, that shall not be named, allegedly left out one of the smaller dogs under her desk, right? And in doing so, the husky found it and roughed it up to the point of it eventually passing away. The owner of the establishment tried to blame the owners of the dog, saying that, it wasn't roughhousing, that the dog apparently had just had surgery and it wasn't ready to come back, and that they should have known better, um, and that whatever the husky did wasn't that severe. Instead of taking ownership of her mistake, in doing so, um, it basically forced my friend's hand to quit. Because she's like, look, this is going to blow up. I'm not okay with this. If you're lying about this, who knows what else you're capable of lying about. So I'm out. And so, she's out of a job. And also, like, there goes the person that, I trusted. Uh, so, anyways, yeah. So I was looking. I was asking her. She was looking around. People that she knew, I guess, in the scene, in the industry, and all that. And finally found a spot. And I'm like, all right, cool. Normally, I would shower my dog. I would do it myself, but I never had a husky before, and it is, man, yeah. And then also the de-shedding thing is like really, really helpful, um, because he's a little diva and likes to be inside as much as possible. He likes to be nosy, and he'll lay down like wherever there's the most foot traffic. He'll lay down right in the middle of that, so that even if you don't pet him, even if you don't acknowledge him, you're forced to acknowledge his existence, um, which is hilarious. But anywho, my apologies. Let's get started. So I do have a heart out again. Um, I get a little obsessed, a little locked in, and I was working on a new, not a feature, but new thing that I want to add to the screen, and I lost track of time. My apologies. Didn't even finish it, of course I didn't, but I got lost in the details. All right, here we go. Let's get to it. Before we tackle this, let's celebrate. Look, where are we at? 51 minutes again. Go. Cass takes office as Chile marks its sharpest shift to the right since dictatorship. And far right leader Jose Antonio Cas was sworn in as Chile's new president on Wednesday, marking the Latin American nation's most pronounced shift to the right since the return of democracy in 1990. 1990, y'all. Don't let the black and white photos fool you. The 60s. Definitely don't make the 1990 sounds like the 1900s, which technically it was. We're old as hell, or at least I am. Not that long ago. Not that long ago at all. That's not even a generation, right? From like 1990. Huh. In a ceremony of the National Congress in the coastal city of, what is this? Valparaíso? No. Yeah, maybe. Valparaíso. And attended by a dozen heads of state, Cass and his cabinet took the oath of office after a landslide victory in the 2025 elections. Landslide is wild, bro. Among those attending the ceremony were Argentina's president Javier Milei, Panama's president Jose Raul Mulino, Ecuadorian president Daniel Nova, which I think we're going to cover briefly, and Spain's King Philip, what is that, the sixth? Other guests include Nobel Peace Prize laureate Maria Corina Machado. That's hilarious. Man, that sounds awful. That sounds awful. There were several high-profile absences, including President Luis Ignacio Lula da Silva of Brazil and Bukele of El Salvador. A modest U.S. delegation was led by Deputy Secretary of State Christopher Landu. Sorry. All right, let me find something real quick because this shit made me laugh. Man, it's just so pathetic what's going on right now, and the groveling that you're seeing from some of these individuals. Look at this. You can't see the reading. Oh, it's not updating. Shoot. Why? I mean, it was just working literally before I hit live. My apologies, y'all. I don't know why it does that. There we go. My apologies. What were we reading? We're checking this piece out here by the AP. My apologies, y'all. I have the Chrome browser right over the OBS screen. Let me make it smaller. Sorry about that. Where are we at? Oh, before anything, I want to look at this and laugh a little bit.
Presidente Steven Miller, asesor del presidente de los Estados Unidos, ha dicho que el combate contra el narco debe ser exactamente igual al combate contra Hamas, contra Al Qaeda. Le han dicho Ecuador.
So he's saying Stephen Miller has stated that combating the narcos, right, the cartel, should be handled to the same degree as combating Hamas. This is where we're at.
El narco debe ser exactamente igual al combate contra Hamas, contra Al Qaeda.
Al Qaeda, Hamas, tomato, tomato.
Le han dicho Ecuador, necesitamos más presencia de militares de Estados Unidos en Ecuador. ¿Lo haría?
So this is the Ecuadorian president, Daniel Noboa, and he's being asked, look, the administration saying that they want a larger presence in Ecuador. Would you do it to combat, the narco terrorists?
¿Lo permitiría? Sí, claro. ¿Por qué? Porque ellos trabajan juntos.
Yes, of course, because they work together. Meaning, the narcos, Al Qaeda, and Hamas all work together. They're in cahoots.
¿A qué me refiero? Desde Venezuela, en Venezuela, todavía hay presencia de Hezbollah.
He's saying in Venezuela, and there is still presence of Hezbollah. Hezbollah is still in Venezuela. And the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, apparently, as well.
Desde Venezuela hacia Colombia y pasaban al Ecuador. Entonces, ellos sí trabajan juntos. Los carteles trabajan con grupos narcoterroristas locales, narcoterroristas locales son entrenados por Hezbollah, por Hamas.
He's saying, of course, I would work with the U.S. because the narco terrorists are being trained by these, the local narco terrorists are being trained by these international terrorists. I mean, and we're talking about the Zionist entity, we're talking about the U.S., fairly accurate. I mean, you'd be correct in that case. But come on, man. Yeah, I read a little bit of Los Narcos No Existen. I do understand some people's frustration with the book, that it's a little bit of, I wouldn't call it false advertisement. It's just our expectations of the title. And I'm not talking about the bad faith approach of the title of of saying like, oh, what do you mean? Like, drug dealers don't exist at all? Like, that's such a bad faith approach to it. But I did see a lot of people that were surprised of how essentially it's going to come off wrong. So my apologies, but I'm trying to speed through this. It's more a case against the propaganda of what we perceive to be carteles, narcos, right? opposed to um yeah, I enjoyed what I read of it, but the reason why kind of like my interest dwindled a little bit, what I was expecting a little bit more, but I need to go back to it to give an accurate criticism. But I understood immediately what people meant when they were the real genuine like not criticism, excuse me, complaint, because it's a complaint. We're just whining, right? We didn't like the title of it, or we felt the title built us up to something else, but it really was, at least from what I read, more of demystifying the cartel. And I guess for the people that were engaging with this book, that were interested in reading it, I could see why that, it was a bit of, I wouldn't even call it disappointment, uh, just a different expectation, because I feel like a lot of us understood that what the media is feeding us, um, is not like the reality on the ground. Like the glorification and the aesthetics of it are inaccurate, and that, I mean, that politicians are intimately involved, La CIA, all these things. So I think maybe that aspect of it, I'm not sure. Um, IDK how books work, but in other publishing, the author doesn't pick the title. I'm not sure. I mean, he sounds fairly happy with it. He was the author. What was his homie's name? Um, oh, Osvaldo. Osvaldo was on Red Nation with Alex Avina, and he didn't seem to have an issue with the title. Well, even when Nick Estes was trying to make like a cute joke, which I understood the setup of the joke before he delivered it, but sometimes even as fluent as Osvaldo is in English, some jokes or setups to a joke, or the sarcasm kind of doesn't translate as well. So when Nick Estes was saying like, "Oh well, after this conversation, you've essentially proven that drug cartels do exist," and Osvaldo interrupts is like, "No, that's not what I'm saying." And Nick Estes is like, "No, I meant like the pharmaceutical families, that run the pharmaceutical industry. They're the true drug cartels." And then Osvaldo was like, "Oh yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah." But I felt a little bad for Nick Estes, because I'm like, I understood that he was trying to be a little tongue in cheek, and where he was, taking it. But I think Osvaldo is so protective of the message that he's trying to deliver, that he kind of just like reacted instead of listening to what Nick Estes was about to say. Um, but again, sarcasm, or like kind of a setup to a joke, a lot of it is very cultural, and it's in the language and tone, and that sometimes doesn't translate. Um, so I feel a little bad, like I don't know, like Nick Estes is a grown ass man, but he appears to be like a sweet dude. And he was trying to be like playful, and I just felt like, oh, like just oh, like I understood what you were trying to say. um, but uh, leave the jokes for the dummies like me. Anywho, let's wrap this up over here.
Locales, grupos terroristas, narcoterroristas locales, son entrenados por Hezbollah, por Hamas, por Guardia Revolucionaria Iraní.
Literally saying that the local narco terrorists are being trained by Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Iranian Revolutionary Guard.
Entonces sí hay una conexión, y una conexión real, hay transacciones de dinero, hay entrenamiento en campamentos de ex guerrilleros, hay entrenamiento también con grupos narcoterroristas locales como los Lobos, como los Choneros.
This was saying that there's, money being exchanged and like camps being set up to train them. Okay.
Como los tiguerones. Entonces,
Name drops a couple of, I guess, local, drug organizations from Ecuador.
hay ya suficiente evidencia de que ellos trabajan juntos. Entonces hay que tratarlos de la misma forma.
He's saying there's enough evidence to demonstrate that, they're working together, so we should treat them as equals, right? In the sense of we should treat the local narco terrorists just as we treat, um, designated terrorist organizations, international terrorist organizations. And this is again all to lock down and secure, um, and double down on the Monroe Doctrine. I think I hate that it's being called the, um, what is it? What are they naming it? The like Don Roe Doctrine. I hate that so much because again, it's something that liberals and rad libs love to do is make it appear as this all started with Donald Trump and make Donald Trump the focus and center of this when in reality, and we'll go over it. Shout out to Hood Communist and shout out to the Morning Remix crew. I mean, man, sometimes I'm just, I wake up at 4 a.m. for work and it's sad to say, especially if my sleep schedule isn't right. I can't listen to like intellectuals and I can't listen to smart people. I need to listen to some dumb shit, preferably like liberals arguing over nonsense because my brain is still waking up and I'm just kind of like, I need some audio Jerry Springer liberal nonsense to kind of be like, it could be worse. I could be one of these people. Right now, just a quick update on liberals. If you don't know, maybe we'll cover it either Thursday or Friday. But they're debating over essentially whether or not to be a little bit authoritarian against Donald Trump's administration once Democrats are back in office, and try to arrest as many of them as possible to save liberalism. And some of the more, you know, just staunch liberals like, no, that's against, we're in a free democracy and we're in a free society. We can't do that. Sometimes there's going to be people that are going to push the boundaries of liberalism, of democracy, but we just have to vote harder. And, you have the other liberals that are like, no, we have to do everything to defend liberalism, including being authoritarian, right? And it's like, bro, like, liberalism can never defeat fascism. Like, stop. It could, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, oh, what was that thing called when you not paying homage? Like, what's it called when you like sacrifice something on like a temple? Oh shoot, what am I thinking about? Um, or you give somebody a cut of like your earnings. Like you go to the Don and give them your cut. Chat, help me out. Pay your dues, pay your respects, pay tribute. Yeah. I guess liberalism can, you know, pay tribute to fascism so it could like subside and it could like kind of like calm it and quail it. Because it's like, hey, the status quo is working for us. We don't need you yet because there is no left movement that we need to concern ourselves about, right? There is no socialist, communist, or anarchist movement on the ground that makes the status quo, the liberal class, nervous about the material conditions that they're in. There's nothing pushing from the left. So that's why you see this weird kind of like power struggle within like white nationalists and fascists and your more liberal status quo efficient evil, efficient empire is what they want to promote. All right, let's get back to this. Yeah, tribute or teeth, is that how you say it? I fucking did not grow up in the church. All right, let's get back to this. After newly appointed Senate President Paulina Nunes placed the presidential sash on cast, the new cabinet was sworn in. Jose Francisco Perez McKenna, oh, that's scary, took the oath as chancellor, while Maria Trinidad Stenner became the Minister of Security, and Fernando Rabat assumed the office as Minister of Justice and Human Rights. Gabriel Boric, a left winger who in 2022 became Chile's youngest president at 36, has left office as the worst rated president since 1990, according to a survey published this week by Polling. More than half a dozen surveyed, 53%, consider his government to be the worst since the return of democracy. Wow. I need to find out what this motherfucker did. Cass, as a Trump inspired political veteran, won a landslide victory in December against government backed communist candidate Janet Hara with promise of fighting crime and curbing illegal immigration. Wow. Wait. Hold on. Are they missing a comma here? No, he won a landslide. Okay. Okay, so he just did the Bukele. We're gonna fight crime and illegal immigration. A project that holds similarities to policies adopted by the U.S. counterpart. Pancho, ¿cómo andamos? ¿Cómo andamos? We're just getting started, man. A little late. A friend of Washington, Chile is the latest Latin American country to vote out an incumbent government, with voters backing right-wing leaders from Argentina to Bolivia as President Donald Trump looks to assert U.S. dominance in the Western Hemisphere, in many cases punishing rivals and rewarding allies. While Cass has avoided commenting on controversial issues at home and abroad, he has made overtures to the Trump administration and praised the U.S. operation that accumulated in the capture of former Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. I mean, they have to applaud it. I'm sure they all agree with it. But to have that over your head, that like, damn, if con el pueblo apoyándolos, right, with the people supporting Maduro, you were able to pull this shit off, they could come for any one of us, for any transgression, or not even that, just for a show of dominance, a show of force, we could be made an example of, to cater to these American European egos. These signals intensified recently when Cass abruptly ended the transition process following a clash with outgoing Boric over a project to install a submarine cable to connect Chile and China. The project drew intense criticism from the US and further deepened the diplomatic tensions between Boric's administration and Washington. Relations between Chile and the United States have deteriorated significantly under the second Trump administration. Boric was a vocal critic of his US counterpart, even characterizing the Republican leadership style as that of a new emperor. Trump has openly signaled his preference for Cass over Boric, notably inviting Cass, the president-elect, to last weekend's Shield of the American Summit in Miami, which brought together several right-wing leaders in the region, including Bukele and Milei. And we're going to look over the Shield of Americas briefly as well. Organized crime and immigration in the spotlight. Cass narrowly lost the presidency in 2021 to Boric in a runoff election. At that time, his opposition to abortion and same-sex marriage, along with his praise of the legacy of figure of former dictator Pinochet, were largely rejected by Chileans. And apparently one bad presidential administration is like, all right, Pinochet wasn't that bad. 4 years later, his hardline stance on crime and immigration won the support of about 60% of voters in the country, hit by a rise in organized crime and disappointed by the great expectations that Boric raised but left unfulfilled. And that's always tricky, right? To promise so much on the presidential campaign and falling short. I feel like you need at least to hit a home run on one major promise in order to demonstrate that, hey, like, we'll get more achieved the next time around. What I will say is, hit by a rise of organized crime, call me conspiracy theorist, but I mean, we're seeing it now. We're seeing it now more than ever. This whole narco terrorist thing. I wouldn't be surprised if like calls were made to be like, hey, we need to get the streets a little hot over there. We need to bring some fear into the community so that they could run into the embrace of fascism, the safety blanket. Oh, he socked them himself? That's hilarious. Fears over immigration and crime pushed Chile's presidential race to the right. I just want to see here about the crime increase. AC/DC was performing. That is fucking awesome. Fans supported MAGA style caps. AC/DC blasted from the speakers. Red, white, and blue flags flapped in the wind. Crowds whooped and cheered as the man of the hour lamented the surge of migrants across the border. This country isn't falling apart, he bellowed. It's being shot to pieces by bullets. You'd be forgiven for assuming this was a rally for US President Donald Trump. Why were they? Oh, Chile. Con razón, pendejo. Sorry, that was on me. But this eruption of Israel rage at immigrants took place in Santiago, Chile, at the final campaign event for, was it Jonas Kaiser, the radical libertarian, gaining traction before Sunday's presidential election in Chile, where rising fears of uncontrolled migration have pushed everyone in this race, even the governing coalition's communist candidate, Janeta Jara, to the right. Kaiser is the only one with a firm hand and the only one who can pull us out of the United Nations, close the borders to all the Venezuelan criminals, said Claudia Belmont, faithfully peering out from beneath the brim of a red cap embezzled with Kaiser's promise to make... Bro, why? Why do we have to get all the watered down bullshit? Why do we have to always get the fucking El Gran Estreno fucking years after? Why do we have, like, bro, why do we always have to do this? It's so fucking annoying. And can we is it gonna sound weird? I'm like, can we get some organic homegrown fascists? Can we get some organic homegrown reactionaries that have their own agenda, their own plans, their own style, their own aesthetics? Can we at least get that? Like, is that too much of me to ask for? To be like, bro, why are you're groveling and you're on your knees so fucking hard that you're trying to like put on, this skin. Like, and the most frustrating part, and I think the real reason why I'm saying that is because I'm like, why is the pueblo falling for this? Why is it, la gente de Chile falling for this exact thing? Is it just straight up, my concern is, are they not hearing what's happening in the United States, especially how Latinos, brown people are being treated by Trump? I mean, it's probably just like, oh, well, we want to treat immigrants like that here. It's just a mestizo fucking allegiance to power, to white supremacy, I guess. God damn. I didn't know this. It was bad enough, and we talked about this fucking Tijuanero, right? I can say that. It was like, make Tijuana great again. And I forget what comedian came out and be like, oh yeah, and then kind of like talked about all the, obviously the cliche and the rougher parts of Tijuana, like glorifying them, like, yeah, like these places were fucking oasis before Haitian immigrants and Central and South American immigrants ruined it. Or, being tongue in cheek about it all, being sarcastic about this concept of make Tijuana great again is like, respectfully, like, this wasn't foreigners coming in and ruining Tijuana, Let's see, Kaiser. I kind of get Anglo politics following the US, but it's dumber in non-English speaking countries. I get if it works here, it works everywhere capitalism is. Sure, yeah, I guess my concern is when Donald Trump is coming out and like smearing your country. I would think that even if you want, that tough guy, that great man to bring forth safety through punishing poor people and those that you fear. The same fucking slogan. That's my whole thing. Like, I'm not saying you have to be completely original, but goddamn, be your own fucking person. No mames, the only time Tijuana was great when Cholos won the league. uh, hey, Chris over here tying on themselves. Uh, Block Origin Light. All right, I'll grab that. Technically, you should slurp coffee. I wasn't trying to slurp coffee. It's just the lid is being weird. So my apology if y'all heard that. I'm not. I hate that MSMR thing. All right. You know, TJ, you're not wrong in that kind of comparison. I can only understand it by looking at as a black man group, black men groups like well, ADOS and FBAs. I mean, look, unfortunately, I don't think it's just. I don't think it's gendered. I seen plenty of American nationalist black women. In a lot of ways, the K Hive is very much that. In a lot of ways, the K Hive, you know, it's the liberal version of it, but are there not liberal ADOS or FBA members? I mean, I'm sure they're not the prominent voices, but we'll see. I mean, we're gonna see. I think, you know, my prediction is that we're gonna see more of a liberal approach to ADOS and FBA, right? Where it's gonna become more like, hey, like if you're queer, it's cool, in the sense of like, because I seen more of a culturally reactionary base for what ADOS and FBA is right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, sooner rather than later, we're going to see more of the angle of, hey, as long as you're a foundational Black American and not one of these the tethers, what do they call them? Like, you know, an immigrant, a Black immigrant. It's cool if, you know, you're not aligning with patriarchy and heteronormative lifestyles or whatever the fuck. Speedy 2, my original discovery of FBA was from a woman. There's this character. There's this character online that I'm not quite comfortable yet tackling. I need to watch more of their content, but I discovered them through, you know, when I would tap in to see the Creep Destiny and what his current talking points were. And man, she's a trip. She is a Republican, you know, make America great, flag behind her. But here's the thing, and this is where it gets scary. Very fucking chill vibes. Chill fucking vibes. Like, sounds like probably like a great fucking hang. You know what I mean? That's when shit gets like scary for me, because it's like, ooh, you can be effective. You could be effective. You could just very subversive, very insidious. And I'm sure, and the reason why, you know, from what I see, fairly prominent, at least in their corner of, you know, the internet, you lure people in with just having cool vibes, chill fucking person, chill attitude. And I'm like, damn, I wonder how many like coworkers or how many just random people out in public she's been able to kind of like pull in and then kind of just drop a few gems and just be like, oh, I'm just asking questions. Isn't that funny? Or isn't that, it's interesting, right? And then just move on. And then you planted the reactionary seed into this person, and they associate those thoughts and those ideas that they might have been like uncomfortable with, or felt like, you know, that's not quite appropriate in civil society, to be like, well, you know, she was nice and she made me laugh, and she seemed like a cool person. Maybe these ideas aren't exclusively for hateful, bigoted people. Maybe there's something to it. If somebody as nice as this individual is kind of spreading them, or at least comfortable talking about them, you know, shit gets nasty real quick. All right, where are we? Where are we? Such demands for a mano dura, a firm hand, against this order have reshaped Chilean politics as transitional gangs like Tren de Aragua surge across borders for crisis-stricken Venezuela and elsewhere in recent years, importing kidnappings, carjackings, and other violent crimes previously unseen in one of Latin America's safest nations. Who is she? Fuck. Let me. God, y'all gonna get me in trouble, man. These are things that I that I should DM other people about, and I'll tackle directly. Let's see if I can find them real quick. Shoot, what is their name? I think they might be more on TikTok now, if I'm not mistaken. The issue, and I know it's gonna sound funny because it's kind of a meme in their community, is if you type in Destiny's name and then just put like, I don't know, like black woman or something, the meme in that community is that Destiny is a girl's name. So you're not gonna really be able to track something down. Shoot, yeah, I wouldn't be able to find it. I wouldn't be able to find it. It would take a while. Um, Let me just try one last thing. Nope. A whole lot of Amanda Seals for whatever fucking reason. That's fairly random. Interesting. Last attempt here. Nah, no luck. Oh yes. Okay. Okay. I found them. I found. Who's on this panel? Hold on. I think I found them. I just need to make sure it's not the wrong person. Is it Alex? Let's see. Well, why would it change to Lisa? That's weird. It's Alice, motherfucker. Hold on. Now you guys have me thinking about this. Okay, yeah, I think I found them. But I need to find their actual shit. Does anybody have this? Or maybe they deleted their stuff. Interesting. Fuck it. Look, I don't know what this conversation is about. We're jumping into this blind. All right, whatever. We're jumping into this blind.
I just wanted to speak I guess a little bit of my piece on this. I do kind of, not even kind of. I mostly disagree with Anna about the,
who's
what
speaking?
Aaron said about.
I know that there's Aaron, there's Lav. Sorry, I like to
Jay, the person with the bear profile. Yes.
Jay.
Oh, I know. I'm holding the phone to my ear, so I can't see anybody. Jay. Okay, nice to meet you. Hi.
Hey, nice to meet you too. I did kind of like talk about this on the subreddit as well. Of course, not everybody is active on the subreddit, but I was brought in by Forethought, and as Lav
let me let this play while I find out who's who.
yes, a lot of it is kind of anecdotal and kind of have to respect the Black women who say things about these statistics and the involvement of Black men and their families. So I came on to say, as a Black woman who born and raised in America, Black family, I do want to say from my exposure to Black people, yes, and even my experience in my work, which just to mention really quickly, I work in psychiatry. I am a physician assistant, so I see children ages 4 and up. So I see all ages of people. So I do have that exposure as well to a sizable portion of Black patients.
Another strong Black woman in the community. I'm just curious what your perspective was on these things.
Oh God, I cannot believe I'm going to say this, because I have some issues with him, but I do agree with Fanatic, although he ran away from a debate from me like a bitch, but I'll hold that for another time.
True.
Is that you cannot hold just solely Black men responsible. And let me tell you why. Who makes the babies? Who decide who enter into our womb?
And here's the abortion.
No, you have to let her finish.
That's who it is. That's who it is. Tree. They go by tree.
You have to. You have to.
Saying.
No. You have to let her finish. You have to let her finish.
Sorry,
she just joined. Let her speak. Go ahead.
Okay. I am the goddess. I control what's in between my legs, and the only way a man can get in, unless I give it to him or he takes it, i.e. rape. Therefore, when I voluntarily open my legs to a dumbass bitch, N-word, whatever you want to say, right?
All right. Okay. I think we're good there. 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 But I found who they are. Let me do some little background homework, and yeah.
None of your business.
You don't fucking even own a rifle. Oh my God. I mean, it's the standard.
Yeah. Fuck, man. I don't know what to tell you.
You streamed a video, then I should basically take that consequence. All right. So therefore, if I hold myself at a certain level, I would only realize that only privileged men at a certain caliber, men at a certain level, men I'm equally yoked, will be able to lay with me, because I just don't give it to anybody. But anyway, women have to take responsibility that if we are going to create a strong community, we have to start with children, and we have to start by selecting good fathers. I'm finished.
Okay, so thank you for that, goddess. And and here comes the abortion.
That's a good level of sarcasm. I like that.
An argument, because it's true, we are having the babies, we are the womb holders, so that sort of leans into, okay, well, now you can justify a Cynthia G. I think it's interesting, especially for Black women. I think it's interesting that on the one hand, we say 70% of Black households are ran and led by women, or that they are fatherless, or that they're unwed mothers. But then we can also say, choose better, women. It's all about who you're choosing. By probability, if 70% of Black men are just not doing what they're supposed to be doing, is the pool to choose from? Is that how great is the pool that Black women have to choose from? If we're thinking about,
Bro, it is trash all around. Why do you think it's so difficult? Like, it's like, bro, we're not here to root for anyone. By any of these fucking people, right? I had to rewatch this. And maybe take some notes, and then we could get some like, yeah, we gotta move on. I'll come back to this shit and at some point. But anywho, we're way off course. Chat. Oh, look, if you ask me to look for trash, I can find it. I can tell you where it's at. It might take me a little bit of while to sniff it out, but I'm like, oh no, I know there's some trash around here. I will provide. I'm just saying, give me a little time, put on some gloves, really, proper PPE, and then I can present to you the trash appropriately, safely, biohazard, in a confined, secured area. Yeah. Which one of them was supposed to be chill? No. Okay, maybe because I'm just around, like, I'm a blue collar worker. Maybe because I'm around a lot of, reactionary thought. I can see how their approach, because it almost reminds me, especially when it's one-on-one conversation with Destiny and this Tree of Logic individual, very quickly be able to be like, oh, those women that's like, oh, I'm one of the guys, and then just very kind of like, which usually means, hey, I'll let you be a misogynist around me. I can also be homophobic. It's usually code for that. So that's what I'm getting at. That's what I mean. I should have explained myself a little bit better. But yeah. All right, let's get back to it. We got like an hour and a half left. I probably gotta take this food to take a little bath. It's been a while. Since you. All right, let's go. Quick question, chat. For your dogs and cats, do you, preferably dogs, we just recently transitioned to digestible, like flea and tick repellent, because I was reading some stuff about where what do you call the surface one? The one you just put on the skin, like on the spine, that it might not be as effective as digestible ones. So I don't know. Y'all let me know. Let me know what y'all use. We were using like the ointment or whatnot along the spine, between like the shoulder blades for forever. And then I was reading some stuff. I'm like, oh, let me look into it. And these you actually have to like request from the vet. Like it's almost like prescription, I guess. It's not over the counter, or at least I haven't seen them over the counter. The ones that I'd be getting, and they're kind of expensive. It's like you get 3, and each one's a month for $100. So I guess when you divide it, it's not too bad. But I think just having to consistently go for like, I don't know, 3 months is not like a lot of time, but to me it seems like a lot. Rather just buy shit in bulk. No, it works. They both work. My question was more in the sense of like, which do you think is more effective? All right, let's keep going. Okay, but this isn't even what I want to read. The funny part is here. We'll just wrap up this article here. First 100 days are key. Experts suggest the new administration's responsiveness will be key in determining the government's course for the next 4 years, as it will have to deal with a divided parliament to ensure governability and advance its main project. If there is volume, traction, and clear direction in the first 100 days, the political establishment generally seeks alignment or at least avoids hindering the administration's priorities, said Mariano Machado, an analyst with risk intelligence company Versic. What the fuck? If there's clarity, if that clarity isn't seen in the first 100 days, the opposite happens. Basically, you get too much motion, you get too much momentum, and even the opposing party has to kind of concede a little bit to popular opinion. But why am I pulling this shit up? Why is this a concern? Why am I truly invested? And no offense, never been big on Chilean politics. This right here. Reveal it. 4 years ago, Chilean presidential candidate's father was a member of the Nazi Party. The guy that just won? Revelations appeared at odds with Jose Antonio Cast's own statement about his father's military service. The German-born father of Chilean presidential candidate Jose Antonio Cast was a member of the Nazi Party, according to a recently unearthed document. Revelations that appear at odds with the far-right candidate's own statement about his father's military service during the Second World War. Fucking shocked. I'm shocked that somebody who's over here glorifying Pinochet is the son of a fucking Nazi. I couldn't put it on the title. There was no space. So I put son of a, you know? German officials have confirmed that an ID card in the country's federal archives showed that an 18-year-old named Michael Kass joined the National Socialist German Worker Party, or NSDAP, in September 1942 at the height of Hitler's war on the Soviet Union. Anti-communism, right, is inherently fascistic, is inherently pro-fascist. Every single fucking time, anti-communists are fascists. Say it with me, anti-communists are pro-fascist every fucking time. While the federal archives couldn't confirm whether Kass was the presidential contender's father, the date and place of birth listed on the card matches that of Kass' father, who died in 2014. A copy of the ID card identified with the member's number, 9271831, was previously posted on social media on December 1st by Chilean journalist Mauricio Uibel. The ID card's emergence adds a new twist to a highly charged presidential runoff built on both sides as a battle of extremes and marked by a steady flow of disinformation that has distorted the record and campaign pledges of Kass' opponents. Kass, 55, led the first round of Chile's presidential election last month, 2 points ahead of leftist lawmaker Gabriel Boric, who now will face in the 19 December runoff. So, I don't know, people apparently forgot about this time around. Obviously, he ends up losing to Boric. But they're like, this time around, they're like, you know what? The son of a Nazi? Why not? A man glorifying Pinochet? What could possibly go wrong? Man. Yeah, no, I found this out watching Elliot. I'm #1 fan. Literally, Elliot has done nothing wrong at all. But goddamn, bro. It's not your fault. It's me. So there we go. Chile. Do me a favor, y'all, if you haven't already, hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Super chat, super stickers are turned on. The Patreon is up and running. Once again, just got my car back. Thank y'all for supporting and showing some love. Thank you so much. Cash App is up and running. I appreciate y'all hitting me up there as well. Truly and sincerely. Thank y'all. Deculturation Live, the channel where the live streams are going to remain up. Some changes are going to be going on that channel. We hit 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for the support. So, you know, you're seeing it with the thumbnails already. I'm not doing custom thumbnails for the live streams. I'll be doing custom thumbnails for the clips of the live streams. So we'll see how we keep things moving. And I definitely do got to check up on the YouTube members. I'm going to turn on YouTube memberships on that channel as well. But I got to make sure that I can find out how to give y'all access to the Discord as well. I just think it's, you know, for some people it's more efficient, easier just to subscribe through YouTube. So want to make sure that I'm as fair as possible there. Bro, we'll talk about tomorrow. We'll talk about that tomorrow, man. We'll talk. Look, David Barnes is you know, David Barnes provides some of the best clips for the Majority Report. I don't know how David does it. But man, like it just doesn't stop over there with the Zionist apologia. It just does not stop. Again, I ask you, name me just one major Jewish institution that is anti-Zionist. Please name me one. You know, I combat and argue against anti-Semitism because it's used, you know, now more than ever. Well, not more than ever, but in recent history, Zog is used to protect WASP. So I'll see if I'll cover that either tomorrow or Friday. But man, the work that Emma Vigeland and Sam Seder are doing to muddy the waters on Zionism is astonishing. Now, I always say focus on WASP, but you never hear me downplay the reality of the Zionist movement. You never hear me downplay the reality of the Zionist movement. And they do that. And they try to refocus the conversation on the evangelical right, which is perfectly fine as long as you're not diminishing the Zionist movement. And Emma Vigeland speaks from both sides out of her mouth. Sometimes she sounds like Anna Kasparian. Sometimes she sounds like Sam Seder. It just depends on the day of the week. WASP, white. Excuse me. White Anglo-Saxon Protestants. Pardon me. All right. Let's get to it. Do we want to start here? No, let's go a little bit from the... Let's continue reading. Or you know what? Let me give you all a little bit of red meat. I already kind of did. Let's read this first. I'll give you a little red meat. And then... And you know, I don't even want to call it red meat. Because it's kind of like... another Hassan Pai Grand type blackness coming up after this article. How about that? I shouldn't diminish it by saying red meat. My apologies. But he claims it's a joke, so I'm just probably triggered or a woke scold or whatever they're saying. From the antagonist, this piece by Arturo Dominguez, What to Expect from the Shield of the Americas. Which is, I mean, man, let's look at their I want to see their logo. This shit's atrocious, bro. Honestly, at this point, like they should fucking the showrunners or you know the TV script writers for The Boys to just fucking sue them, because this had to be on The Boys. This is ridiculous. It is so fucking tacky. What is it? Remember this? Hold on. This is what this fucker's having sounding like. Oh, there you go.
Billy.
You.
Billy, we've already told me off. Let's move on.
You're tacky and I hate you.
That's literally me right now. You're tacky and I hate you.
You're tacky and I hate you.
That's literally me with this fucking shit right now. You're tacky and I hate you, bro. Oh, man. Yeah, Marvel's The Shield of Americas, airing on ABC. No, well, now it would be on CBS. Airing on CBS. Man. All right, let's check this out here. Recently, President Donald Trump created the Shield of the Americas, a consortium of 12 Latin American nations and the United States, officially focused on targeting cartels with military force, curbing illegal immigration, and countering China in the region. Of the countries invited to the inaugural summit hosted at Trump's Doral golf resort in Florida, Brazil, the largest economy of Latin America and the Caribbean, Colombia, with the fourth largest economy. Hold on. Wait, what? Of the countries invited to the inaugural summit hosted at Trump's Doral Golf Resort in Florida, Brazil, the largest economy of Latin America and the Caribbean, Colombia, with the fourth largest economy, and Mexico, the second largest economy in the region, and the U.S., largest trading partner, were not invited. Okay. Oh, wow. That's... Sorry. That was just like kind of a lot to be like, wait, where is this going? Okay, interesting. I mean, I get not just listing them and you know, giving context of why them not being invited is such a significant deal. Okay. No, it's saying they weren't invited. That's why I was getting confused. I'm like, where's this going? Those invited, well, okay, we'll talk about Colombia some other time. Those invited were Argentine President Javier Milei, Bolivian President Rodrigo Paz Pereira, Chilean President-elect Jose Antonio Cas, Costa Rican President Rodrigo Chavez, Dominican Republic President Luis Abinader, Ecuadorian President Daniel Noboa, who we just saw, Salvadoran President Bukele, Guyanese President Mohamed Irfan Ali, Honduran President Usfura. Okay, we're just going to go through it all. Panamanian President Jose Raul Molino, Paraguayan President Santiago Peña, hey, and Trinidad and Tobago Prime Minister Kamala. Oh, whoa, really? Proceed Pizer. I never knew they shared a name. Interesting. Where we at? Man, there's a lot of fucking names, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm excited to read this. A little top heavy so far. The partner countries involved, unsurprisingly, have presidents who are sympathetic to Trump and are indebted to him in various ways. Several owe their election to him. Milei owes Trump for helping elect his party members to Argentina's National Assembly in late 2025. Cas, Perea, and Asfaro, Asfura, there it is. Cas, Perea, and Asfura owe Trump for helping them get elected last year by his meddling in their elections and several cases, threatening voters with isolation from U.S. partnership and investment. It comes as no surprise that Trump would try to meddle in this year's elections in the region as well. You know what? I take it back. Okay, I see why. It's just very, very, but I don't know how else you would break this up without making the piece longer, I guess. Oh, yeah, that's a difficult task. The Shield of the Americas Summit resulted in the creation of America's Counter Cartel Coalition, the ACIP. What would that be? Like ACE? I want to CCC, but like ACCC. The ACE, yeah. Let's go with that. ACCC through a proclamation. According to Trump, 5 additional countries signed the ACCC proclamation: Guatemala, Peru, Uruguay, Venezuela, and Suriname. That's interesting. Officially, the agreement is meant to address grave dangers by use of any necessary resources and legally available authorities to counter drug trafficking. While Mexico has an existing bilateral agreement with the U.S., excluding countries in the region with much more at stake than those represented through a commitment to lethal military force, calls the Trump administration motivation into question. My administration has designated a number of cartels and transnational gangs as foreign terrorist organizations and has since dedicated unprecedented resources towards their destruction. These international entities control territories and commerce, extort political and judicial systems, wield arms and field military capabilities, and use assassinations and terrorism to achieve their ends. To achieve the aims of the brand new military coalition, the White House will likely seek to install U.S. military bases in participating countries or use existing bases to host U.S. military assets. In return, the U.S. is poised to offer $50 to $100 billion in investment pool through U.S. international development finance corporations for U.S.-backed infrastructure projects to counter Chinese investment in the region. The agreement is also rumored to lay the groundwork for securing supply chains and isolating China from the region through tariffs. I mean, it's funny because, you know, the liberals were upset about US AID and completely and totally dismissing, you know, the use of soft power in the way that essentially you get developing countries or overexploited countries hooked on US financial support. And of course, they're going to do everything that they can to prevent progress within those nations while claiming that they're trying to aid progress. We know this. The minute that they don't align with U.S. policies or U.S., the U.S. mission, what happens? They get abandoned, right? They get tossed to the side. So with that in mind, I do prefer seeing this. China, whatever criticism of China is, trying to at least be a better trading partner than the U.S. The U.S. is like, well, you're not going to get good of a deal, as good of a deal as China is offering you. But wait, not only that, we also demand military bases. We also demand military bases. Isn't that sweet? It's like, it's not enough that we're going to financially screw you over. It's not enough that we're actually not going to invest, in your infrastructure and development unless it directly benefits us. And God forbid you try to even think of nationalizing anything. But we're also going to install bases so that we can have greater control of your territory. Again, whatever your criticism of China, the military base aspect is something that at least I'm unaware of China doing. While the full details of the arrangement or the roles each country is expected to play have yet to be released, signing a working agreement and openly committing a country to an open-ended partnership with the United States have historically proven detrimental. The White House argues that cartels can only be defeated through military power rather than legal solutions, thus opening the door for the continued use of targeting that has killed innocent civilians in the Caribbean and Pacific Ocean, while denying due process under law. The presence of the U.S. military in Latin America is largely unwelcome by most populations in the region, as noted by a recent vote in Ecuador to keep U.S. military bases out of the country. Despite that, Ecuador's president, who signed onto the ACCC, ignored the will of his people and allowed the U.S. to conduct a military operation in the country in a week leading up to the Shield of the Americas summit. The operation, done under the guise of counter-narcotics operations, was conducted in an area known for indigenous resistance to Nobal's government, lying very close to Ecuador's border with Colombia, who was again not invited. I think this should link us to the video. There's like a helicopter. Yeah, exactly this. Hopefully they have the video here. I've seen it a few times. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Not that, but this. No, and Walker, we have not covered the, or literally in 5 minutes, we're going to cover that because I only got an hour left after there. Where we at? But you know how I get distracted. I try to do the nerdy stuff. And like, oh, we're just going to read articles today. Well, that's a lie because we're going to look at some Mamdanis stuff. But I'm like, let's be a little bit more article heavy today. And then you fools are like, nah, give us the dirt, Ecuador. Sicario video is crazy. Yeah, it's right here, but let me see. Okay, here's the video. Sign me the fuck up. Sign me the fuck up. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I'll serve the fucking Yankees. Oh, we got Jared in the chat. Thank you. Appreciate it. Look, I'm going to let them flow as long as I got them. I don't know how it's going to turn out. Man. I know there was one more though, right? There was another. I don't know if I could show it, but there was one more where you actually see the shooting, right? Yeah. And talking about millennials are killing capitalism, I believe they just recently changed their name. Soviet with Sazon. We're witnessing the burial of our nation, Ecuador, by U.S.-backed military regime. Colombia is proof you either defeat it before war becomes the main economy, or else you become the internal war zone. The next few weeks determined forever, and my heart's breaking.
Nos están atacando a la gente.
This idea that was being pushed by Chris, is it Chris Kuntler? Or Kumsler? I honestly, I'm not even trying to be funny. That essentially, oh yeah, the indigenous people of the Americas, what was this fool's name? Part of the No Politics crew. What is this? Yeah, Chris Kunzler. Oh, hell no, I'm not subscribed to him. Unsubscribe? What the fuck did I do that for? From, oh my gosh. I'm sorry, I did not know he had this. This is fucking embarrassing as fuck, bro. Hold on. What the fuck, homie? Hold on, sorry guys, sorry. What are you doing, bro? What are you doing, man? Anywho, as Chris Kunstler, said basically that he doesn't support decolonization in the so-called Americas because the indigenous people are basically, for all intents and purposes, been exterminated to such an extent that resistance is futile, right? Essentially what he's saying. And again, the question to all these individuals normalizing colonization in one place and allegedly pretending to support Palestinian liberation, how many years and how many bodies before you abandon Palestinians? Because clearly there's a line somewhere, and I just want to know where it's at so we could be aware of when eventually you'll abandon Palestinians as well. Colonization in this hemisphere is not complete. The extermination of the indigenous population and their subjugation has continued since Columbus. It has never stopped. So if you support the liberation and decolonization of Palestine, you have to support, if you're consistent, if you're principled, if you're genuine, if you're true, you have to support the decolonization of this fucking continent as well.
La comunidad ha sido totalmente atacada con gases. Ustedes pueden observar, estamos siendo atacados.
Driver's seat. Mamdani and his wife are Zionist collaborators. We'll get to that shortly. But we don't do any of that Islamophobia shit over here.
Que quede constancia de este gobierno represor y terrorista. Ustedes, que quede constancia para el mundo cómo está siendo el pueblo de la esperanza, el pueblo Quichu Caranqui, atacado
He's saying, let it be known how El Pueblo de Esperanza, and he names the indigenous community. I want to make sure I get it right.
Atacado brutalmente de la Esperanza, el pueblo Quichucaraqui.
Quichucaraqui, being attacked by this terrorist state.
No. Ahí está el convoy, mira.
¿Dónde?
Este es el convoy, todos esos camiones.
Ah, esos son los convoys.
Man, I'm telling y'all, this is present day colonization, right? Present day. It's not enough to control the government. They have to control every fucking square inch of the land. This is what fighting narco terrorists looks like. Attacking indigenous communities. For what? To take their land? To make sure they can't resist? Yeah, I'm sure all this was fucking necessary, right? It's a show of force. Oh, the ladies are crying. There's kids up there. There's kids up there.
¡Ay, niños, por favor! ¡Señor militar! ¡Ay,
She's saying, please, military man, there's kids in there. There's kids in there.
ay niños! ¡Ay, niños, por favor! ¡Ay, niños! ¡No, no!
I'm sorry, y'all. Oof. I'm sorry. They're literally crying, begging them. Please, there's children in there. Please don't. There's children in there. We're just a pueblo, community. We're not terrorists.
Son niños
que están ahí.
I'm saying they're just kids in there. Again, shout out to Soviet y Sazon. Please check out their conversation on Millennials for Killing Capitalism. Jared, thank you for having her on. Just one of the most information, compact episodes that I've listened to. Like literally every other sentence was me taking notes. I really can't think of, if you're not following them, if you're not following their work, man, it's very, very difficult to find somebody more informative on Latino America, but that's also doing the work. And when I talk about people that inspire me and motivate me, this is what I'm talking about. Being able to articulate yourself and the information that you've acquired through doing, the hard work of research and reading, but also being able to balance that with actual community work is something that, like, this is the type of people, individual who inspires me through and through, and who, like, I just hope to follow in their footsteps to the best of my abilities. They're the reason why I never wanted to grab a fucking mic, because it makes you realize how inadequate you are, both in your learning and in your actual organizational work. But I think that's good. I think that's good to have individuals remind us that we can always do more. So all respect, all appreciation, all admiration to them. And please check out that episode with Millennials Are Killing Capitalism. I don't know if Jerry changed the title to it. And the plan was to cover that, but it was just going to be me, like, quietly nodding along and saying, yes, everything they say is great. I'm going to spell Bolshevik wrong, so I'm just going to put... what did you title it, Jared? Because I know they used to go by Bolshevik baddie. I think it might be the first person to type in millennials killing capitalism baddie. Which I think is the reason why they changed the name. Okay, here it is. Return of Operation
My experience with organizing.
And also, please, let's encourage, well, no, don't encourage them, don't harass them. I was like, with a voice like that too, like, somebody send them a mic. All right, I dropped it in the chat. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. And then, yeah, just amazing episode. How long is this? An hour and 20 minutes of just basically you're in an hour and 20 minutes, you're giving a crash course 101 introduction to Latin America. That's how good it is. Because if you really want to, and I was doing this, I was taking notes in my second listen of this. And you realize that if you're diligent, you're taking notes appropriately, that so much that can branch off to like just hour-long studies of different subjects. It is just astonishing how intelligent they are, how, and it's not just how smart, but articulate in the sense of like constructing the way that they're able to construct their ideas and thoughts in such an organized manner that you don't get lost. You are overwhelmed, but not to the point of checking out, just to the point of being like, oh, I need to research that some more. Or I've never heard of that before. I need to follow up on that. And that for sure is overwhelming, but whenever you're introduced to new topics, you're gonna have, or you should have some of that sensation, but never to the point of like, oh, this is information overload. Never that. And I think that is a unique skill that is usually only acquired if you're consistently teaching, which I believe they have, but also if you're actually engaging with people on the ground, like having those one-on-one conversations. Diverse. See, I don't understand how you're being introduced clearly a topic you know nothing about, talking about Latin America, and you're still obsessed with Mamdani. That's kind of fucking sad. That's kind of fucking sad. In fact, for not appreciating Soviet y sazon or con sazon, you're gonna be put on timeout. Be nice. Just 10 minutes. All right? Just 10 minutes. All right. Actually, I don't even know if I did it. You gotta focus. We gotta focus. I'm the one with severe ADHD over here. All right? So we're gonna let me drop this. Well, let me speed read this. Yeah, I'll just finish these last two paragraphs and then we're done here. The White House and Novell's government claimed the attack was against Comandos de la Frontera, a dissident group of the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, FARC. However, the U.S.-led attack targeted coastal and borders areas like Guayas and El Oro, where the Ecuadorian military previously deployed heavily. To Mbambura to break indigenous-led blockades. The Confederation of Indigenous Nationalities of Ecuador condemned the military operation as an unprecedented military occupation and siege on the city of Otavalo. 2 days later, many indigenous activists had their bank accounts frozen. Again, the priority and concern is indigenous resistance. Colonization is not fucking over. And don't let these white liberals like Chris Kunzler tell you otherwise. If the empire, if white supremacy is still targeting indigenous populations is because they still view them as a threat. And so they're going to use this narco-terrorist shit to seize and acquire more indigenous land, to halt any indigenous resistance. Understand why it pisses me off, why it infuriates me when these fucking white rad libs that want to pretend that they support decolonization in Palestine dismiss decolonization here. Only because it's not fucking trendy to them. Only because it's not giving them the clout that they desire. Why the fuck would you start another fucking YouTube channel with another fucking white opportunist? Because you don't take any of this shit seriously. That's why. The military intervention in Ecuador highlights what the future will likely look under the ACCC. The populations of these countries will be unaware of who is doing what as bombs drop in various areas, with former Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem at the helm, providing fusion between the Department of State and the Department of Defense, and her history of cruelty and inhumanity, while shirking the law. U.S. actions in Latin America are unlikely to consider human life in any of its actions. We've seen this with the indiscriminate assassination, the bombing of boats in the Venezuelan coast. With no evidence, double tapping to make sure there's no survivors, assassinating, murdering in cold blood innocent people. Because they're fucking innocent until proven otherwise. And the reason that we know that they're innocent is because they would double tap to make sure there was no survivors. To speak truth against the fucking lies of the US empire. A brief look at the map of participating countries highlights where the US will likely position military assets, putting many of the countries Trump has previously targeted in the US crosshairs. Again, from the antagonist, Arturo Dominguez, thank you for this piece. Thank you for the rundown. Okay, we have 1 hour left, so I'm just really fucking briefly. Excuse me, I don't know why I'm cursing. I shouldn't be cursing. Let's do this. Again, shout out to the Morning Remix show. I was able to catch it today. From this piece from the Hood Communists, More Than Meets the Silk Press, which I was contemplating not even reading out loud and just reading the subtitle. Kamala Harris and the U.S. Imperialism. Salifu, brave for that title. All right. Let's get to it. Because I don't want you to think that this is just, again, the Republican Party, that this is just Donald Trump. The devil is in the details. We're just going to read a brief section of this. I'll drop it in the chat briefly or shortly. To better understand Harris' complicity in U.S. imperialism in the Caribbean, you can look to the recently released New Initiatives to Strengthen the U.S. Caribbean Partnership. Announced in June 2023, since April 2022, Harris has been meeting with Caribbean leaders ostensibly to tackle issues like firearms trafficking and combating climate change in the region, because the U.S. surely fucking cares about climate change, right? Sounds innocent enough, right? Well, maybe on the surface. A close look at these proposed plans, however, reveals the same kind of menacing plotting that the U.S. has used against the Caribbean since establishing of the Monroe Doctrine. I'm not intelligent. I tap into the intelligence of others. All right? It's that simple. But you know, Monroe Doctrine sounds so unique and so different and so special. But again, it's the efficient evil empire, effective operating of the empire. Donald Trump is over here fucking rabid and foaming at the mouth. Hessage, Stephen Miller, all these people. They're not fucking smooth operators. They want to brag about white supremacy and colonization. You would not get that from Harris. Again, remember, Golda Meir, the liberal, wing of the Zionist entity. Say as little as possible and do as much as you can. when speaking about colonizing Palestine. Militarization using the Western created social, political, and economic crisis in Haiti as the launching pad, this new partnership begins by outlining plans to heavily militarize and train law enforcement across the Caribbean in order to stem the flow of illegal guns and gun violence. But who sends firearms to Haiti in the first place? Even the U.S. Department of Homeland Security in the United States have admitted that the chief source of arms is the United States. Fucking shocker. What did we just find out about Mexico? Operation Fast and Furious under Obama. Again, it's not a Republican Democrat issue. It's a U.S. imperialism issue. So if the overwhelming number of guns trafficked to Haiti originate from the U.S., then how confident should anyone be that the U.S. is capable of asserting itself as a legitimate intervening authority? In essence, millions of dollars will be spent on guns and military infrastructure in order to stop the guns and over-militarization on behalf of the benefactor of the guns and militarization, with the idea that this same entity will be responsible for policing itself. It's a lot like that Spider-Man meme. Here's the thing. This is what I'm saying. Oh, Chile has a left-wing president, and suddenly crime and cartel violence starts to rise, which leads to the election of a fucking fascist, a son of a Nazi. Somebody that glorifies Pinochet? Do you think that's by fucking accident? But you sound like a conspiracy theorist if you start fucking saying this shit out loud. But then you highlight this as, hey, the people arming the so-called cartels and the gangs and all this stuff happens to be the U.S. So they're benefiting on both sides by selling the weapons and benefiting from the fear that leads people to the embrace of fascism, that leads people into supporting their candidates, working with the U.S. and installing military bases. And if the pueblo says no, the fucking reactionary president does it anyways. Change for regime change, the plan goes to allocate almost $65 million through the U.S. Agency of International Development, also known as USAID, in food and agricultural assistance. Soft fucking power. But you have liberals like Sam Cedar crying about this. But most people familiar with USAID should know that USAID doesn't actually feed people. It feeds institutions like the National Endowment for Democracy. The NED is best known for its regime change efforts around the world, from Korea to China to Cuba to Ukraine to Bolivia to Nicaragua to Venezuela. NED was present in Haiti for the violent coup which toppled the democratically elected president Jean-Bertrand Aristide in 2004. Anywhere there is a color revolution to be had, a social contradiction to be exploited, you will find USAID and the NED. The plan also tosses in support for an extension of the Haitian Economic Lift Program, HELP. Wow, they're just throwing it in your fucking face, huh? Which is key U.S. policy that helps clothing manufacturers like New Balance, and Walmart exploit Haitian garment workers. Through HELP, the U.S. brags that Haiti's textile industry is among the country's largest private sector employers. But the nature of that employment is extremely contentious. Private sector employers is euphemism for sweatshops, has been the reality. Man. Oh, you didn't see Ben Shapiro bragging about that? Ben Shapiro was bragging about that. I'm going to drop this in the chat as well, and then we'll move forward to watching this Mamdanis shit. Ben Shapiro's like, oh, the names of all these operations are so fucking cool. It makes me feel like a man. All right, first we'll start off with this. Then we'll go backwards.
Whatever you want to call anti-Semitism, okay? By that reckoning, can you name me a place in the United States where a Jew would have trouble purchasing a home or renting an apartment? Name me one place. I'd be curious. Can you name me one university, one college, one in the whole United States where a Jew would have trouble getting in because he or she was Jewish? One. Could you name me?
And y'all know I hate North Finkelstein. So the individuals that glorify him, like Katie Halper, can't stand him. It says a whole lot if you're glorifying Norm Finkelstein. It says that you have surface level analysis. It says that you can be got because this motherfucker was doing his reactionary shift with his last book. I'll burn that bridge when I get there. Shout out, I mix what I like, Dr. Jared Ball. Doing a great job recently, using, got so much respect for him. It's hard to roast a little bit sometimes. It's hard to throw a jab at jab, Dr. Jab. No, but on sincerity, we really don't have truly anti-Zionist Jewish voices. We don't. And so having Dr. Ball take his time to break down, this whole propaganda Zionist push of Black and Jewish solidarity, talking to, is it Camps? It's so fucking vital. But you go all the way back to his conversation with Norm Finkelstein, and you see Dr. Ball, being able to do something that honestly I haven't seen anyone do to Norman Finkelstein other than, and I'm sorry for this comparison, Mehdi Hassan. But Mehdi Hassan is just a fucking mercenary. He doesn't care about anything. So again, shout out to Dr. Ball and just handing Norm Finkelstein a rope that Norm's ego was more than happy to tie around himself.
One profession. Does the medical profession discriminate against Jews? There's a legal profession. I mean, that was once a problem. That's why Jewish law firms are created, because they couldn't get into the white shoe WASP law firms. Does that exist anymore? Yeah. So this is just completely and totally ridiculous to talk about anti-Semitism in the United States. On the contrary, being Jewish gets you into professions. It's an asset in our society. In publishing, being Jewish makes a big difference. You know what they used to call the New York Review of a book? They called it the New York Review of each other's books. And they were all Jewish.
I mean, he's right. That's the point, right? Like, this doesn't mean that you should allow anti-Semitism to fucking flourish in the communities that you're a part of, obviously. And I don't allow it, and I will continue to push back against it. But god damn, man, like Zionist Jews who fucking do this conflation with Israel and then cynically attack everyone as anti-Semites when they very clearly aren't, and then package that entire thing up with well, what about the Jewish feelings, are so fucking out of touch. Like, what are you saying, brother? This is the majority position. It's over. You lost the battle. It's the majority position. So anytime you...
To be clear, the majority position is not, unfortunately, anti-Zionism. The majority position is not anti-Zionist. The majority position, because of individuals like Hassan Piker and Sam Cedar, Peter Beinart, John Stewart, the majority position is a liberal Zionist position. They just want peace. Most people just want peace. Oh, just two-state solution is probably what most people want, or one democratic Zionist state.
Make that conflation are feeding into the anti-Semitism. Okay? You're feeding into it. Because people are going, oh, okay, I guess I'm anti-Semitic. Who gives a fuck? Yeah, all right. Oh, okay. Jews control the media. Oh, look at me. Like, that's what it is. That's what it is cry bully, bad faith bullshit. And people can understand it. People can see it.
He wasn't more prepared to acknowledge that.
They started way back where I needed it to be. That's funny.
But
a person's figuring out,
I have a version of...
When you talked about anti-Semitism, it meant, does it affect...
I have a version of this.
Here we go, y'all. And then we'll go back to the Mamdanis stuff.
Very complicated. And it's not susceptible to easy analysis or control. So there was an era where nobody ever thought about those things. When you talked about anti-Semitism, it meant, does it affect...
I have a version of this with the quote unquote jokingly N-word pass.
Jokingly, listening to Norm Finkelstein talk about why anti-Semitism isn't a real issue in the U.S. because there's no boundaries or discrimination against Jewish people like there was in the past. There's non-existent in institutions today, right? And a lot of that is because Jewish people were like, all right, we'll just create our own institutions. And eventually they got accepted into whiteness, unless you're like a straight up like neo-Nazi, or unless you're like Emma Vigeland, who weirdly, for whatever reasons, views Europeans of the Jewish faith as non-white. I think she's just grossly uneducated. No, I have the live chat on. I don't know what's going on. But to listen to Norm Finkelstein talk about why anti-Semitism isn't a real concern in the US, and on institutional level, not on a personal one, for that to inspire you to talk about the N-word pass, especially when Norm Finkelstein uses the N-word any chance he gets.
Statistical component, or does it go back to something your mother said when you were 5 years old? The human psyche is very complicated, and it's not susceptible to easy analysis or control. So there was an era where nobody ever thought about those things. When you talked about anti-Semitism, it meant, does it affect...
I have a version of this with the quote unquote jokingly N-word pass. White people think the N-word is just a mean word that hurts black people's feelings. They don't understand that it's only impactful because of its association with historic wrongs that have not been addressed and the ongoing current systematic oppression that black people face. That's the reason why it's a powerful word, not because it hurts black people's feelings and we as a society have decided that black people are a special class people. Okay? That's it. And my joke obviously is, reparations and also white slavery for 20 years, and then white people can say the N-word. Obviously, it's not up to me, and I'm fucking joking before people rip my asshole apart. It's
apparently you're just saying this stupid ass fucking shit, and then just add, I'm joking, guys. Guys, you can't criticize me, guys, because I'm joking. Guys. I'm joking. So listen to the dumb shit I'm saying and how we could get white people to say the N-word. And this is, look, a throwback to last week. He doesn't give a fuck if people use the N-word in private. He's actually upset that people may get exposed for using the N-word in private. Meanwhile, he'll lie to people and say that he cut Destiny off because Destiny was using the N-word in private, weaponizing anti-blackness to his benefit to avoid debating that creep Destiny, who he was clout farming off of. Yeah, and I'm not allowed to criticize him because he's just joking, guys. He's just joking. Again, how do you listen to Norm Finkelstein and then go to this? Somebody who literally uses the N-word. Call Van Jones, who is garbage, the N-word in fucking what, Yiddish? Took that opportunity?
also white slavery for 20 years, and then white people can say the N-word. Obviously, it's not up to me, and I'm fucking joking before people rip my asshole apart. It's more so an understanding that this is more so a systematic problem. Okay, I said 20 because the 400 is, it's not going to happen. Come on, you gotta give white people a little bit of a pass here, okay? It's they're not gonna sign on for 400 years, but they might. They love saying the N-word. They might sign on for 20 anyway.
Back to your job opportunities.
I really, really apologize. I don't know what's up with this fool. To think, like, to watch Norm Finkelstein, who literally uses the N-word, and then turn around and be like, you know how we can start using the N-word? And I do, because he's fucking white. But please help me, because this is a joke. This is just a joke, right? So help me understand the joke. What the fuck is the joke? Oh, well, you know, he's highlighting how this isn't the N-word doesn't affect black people on an individual personal level. It's not about their feelings. It's about institutional racism. Again, where is the joke? Because he's dying. Homie's cracking up. Homie's cracking up. So what is the joke? Especially when your launch pad for that joke is somebody who sincerely uses the N-word, who is such a fucking racist that said, oh, you know what? I can't use the N-word. I can't tweet it out the way I want to, but I know that most people won't know this Yiddish fucking word is the equivalent of the N-word. And even if they do, I could just hide behind the shield that it's Van Jones. And oh, you're defending Van Jones if you don't let me use anti-black slurs. Man. But if you call him out on his anti-blackness, Hassan Piker fucking loses it. And you're a woke scold ultra and you'll get banned. This is how you cultivate a cult.
Does it affect to live? That's what fucking.
All right, let's go back to the Mamdani thing. We'll start from the top. You got like 30 minutes. Actually, give me a second, y'all. Yeah, 1 sec. I'll be right back, y'all.
Indigenous people should and have the right to oust them by any and all means necessary. And that, I guess, in my point of view, that means that any action they take is morally correct. But this idea that where would the European Jews go if you decolonize Palestine is irrelevant. I don't give a fuck. Because you have Europe to go to. The same way that all these people fled during the military attack by Palestinian Liberation Forces on the 7th. The same way they headed for the airport using their, original passports to go back to the States or Europe or wherever they crawled out from. They could just simply do the same exact thing. But you have to have revolutionary optimism. And I just went on my conspiracy theory about the nuke. But even with that in mind, even then it'd be worth it. Everything is worth liberation. Everything. What? All right, let's go. 25 minutes in. I wanted to keep this to an hour. And yet here we are. All right, let's hear it. From the revolutionary leader himself, Bernard Sanders. Let's hear it.
All right, so we'll kick this off. We'll be going over Mamdani. Mamdani's latest show support for Mahmoud Khalil, a dinner invitation. It appears that a relationship that began with political solidarity over the plight of Palestinians has developed into a friendly connection between the mayor and the activist. I think this is completely fucking disgusting by Mahmoud Khalil. I think this is absolutely fucking disgusting. Here's why. All the excuses that you're going to hear Hassan Piker make for Mamdani. Oh, he's a politician. He's the mayor. He's got to do this. He's got to do that. He's got to make compromises. With Zionists. Okay, cool. If you want to take that excuse at face value, go for it. I won't, but you can go for it. If you're an activist that's been essentially imprisoned for your activism in support of Palestinians, why the fuck would you be cozying up with somebody who is working with Zionists? Shouldn't your role as an activist be to publicly hold them accountable and apply pressure publicly? So Mamdani is forced to move away from collaborating with Zionists? Shouldn't that be your role, to use your platform, your voice, the recognition that your name has because of what you've been through? Shouldn't you be using that to push Mamdani away from Zionism, to force him to combat Zionism instead of cozying up to it and excusing it at every chance that he fucking gets? Because unless Mahmoud Khalil is going to run for fucking a local office or some shit, from my understanding, he's an activist. He's not a politician. So what excuse is there for him to be aligning with Mamdani when Mamdani has aligned with Zionism? And so you see how Mamdani is used to normalize liberal Zionism, to accept it, not challenge it. Because Mamdani represents liberal Zionist collaboration. He's a liberal Zionist collaborator. It's a normalization of liberal Zionism. If you are pro-Palestinian, you should oppose Mamdani and his collaborative moves. Now, if you're a supporter of Mamdani, you're going to hide behind the shield that he's a politician, as we're going to see Hassan Piker do. But as an activist, oh, you're being too hard on Mahmoud Khalil. He's sacrificed more than you, this and that. I'm just talking my shit. I'm not saying I'm a better person than Mahmoud Khalil. I'm not saying I've done more than Mahmoud Khalil. I'm asking why an activist, a pro-Palestinian activist, a Palestinian activist, is normalizing a collaborator like Mamdani. Is that out of line for me to ask? Tree, Mamdani using Khalil for cover of himself while making their friendship part of silencing Khalil's effectiveness. I love this chat that we're cultivating, making me feel a little less like a tinfoil conspiracy theorist. Thank you. Thank you for, this is why I tell y'all, get busy in the chat. Oh, it's going to be an echo chamber. Shit, better than hearing myself talk. All right. So apparently Jake Tapper, upset at this friendship, as well as those in the media, are like, hey, Mamdani's wife liked a lot of scary tweets and social media posts on October 7th. And people are rushing to defend her. When my question is, if you're really about it, if you were really concerned, or you have true solidarity with resistance, armed resistance, why is her husband aligning with the Jessica Tish of the world? How does that fucking make any sense?
But it doesn't even matter. You guys need to understand something, okay? This is Jake Tapper basically showing his entire pussy to Barry Weiss, okay? He's literally lifting his leg up and saying, I'm here to receive you, okay?
So this guy isn't a sexist. This guy's not a homophobe. This guy's not a transphobe. But again, the way that Kyle, KKK, Kalinske, and all these white so-called leftists seek any moment to be disgusting, to express their bigotry at appropriate targets. How does this even cross your fucking mind? How does this even cross your fucking mind? How is this not the same like dude bro from Bro Tips talking about the age of consent? How is this not the same fucking person? You do realize that they think it's safe when it's like oh, it's a collective person that we dislike, it's safe for me to express myself like the person that I truly am. This is fucking gross.
Okay. This is him showcasing his capabilities. It's not an accident that he has greatly increased the intensity of Zionist propaganda on CNN. I promise you, he is spread eagle. Okay, I'm breaking my fast. I'm sorry that I caused you to break your fast by causing you to think about Jake Tapper spreading his pussy open. That's what this is. This is a trial run. Jake.
I understand like being an atheist and not respecting like other religions. Like I get that. I'm not necessarily against it. I am when you weaponize those religions to deflect criticisms of yourself. So if you're over here like doing all this disgusting, misogynist, homophobic, transphobic shit, remember I'm a woke schooled, I'm all these things, right? And then you're talking about fast, Ramadan, this religious experience, and you continue to joke about it like that. It makes sense why he cozied up to iDubbbz who tore a Quran and joked about it. It makes perfect fucking sense. But it's the weaponization of the Muslim identity and the faith, the Islamic faith. When you use that as a shield to deflect any criticism that people have for you. And then doing shit like this that I find fucking disgusting. And I'm sorry that I'm putting y'all through this, but I just want to highlight what type of fucking person this. Oh, you're defending Jake Tapper. Oh, you're pearl clutching for Jake Tapper. No, I'm fucking not. I'm fucking disgusted of where somebody's mind has to be criticizing Jake Tapper's Zionism and go to this. I'm concerned that young people, young men especially, hear this shit and think it's okay to talk like this and interact like this in organizing spaces. That's what I'm concerned about. That he's normalizing this fucking way of thinking and way of talking when we're criticizing white supremacists, because Zionism is a branch of white supremacy. This is the normalization of this type of fucking disgusting language. It's imagine talking like this amongst your comrades. And remember, you got to earn that word. You got to fucking do shit together. You got to actually organize. You got to build something to be a comrade. I don't like throwing that word around loosely. Man. Again, doesn't even have the excuse of a blue collar worker saying, oh, this is how we talk. Nah, bro. This is some fucking rich fucking white kid.
Jake knows where his bread is buttered. Jake knows where CNN is headed. Okay. And he is busting it wide open. He's saying, blow my back out. He's spreading the lips too. He's not even taking no chances. Okay. He's popping that pussy.
What the fuck is wrong with this guy? And I think he has a predominantly his viewer, a lot of it is white women, right? It makes perfect fucking sense. It makes perfect fucking sense. White women love this type of man. Like a straight up fucking misogynist. Oh, isn't he funny? And it's like, bro, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Look, I'm cool with defenders of Hassan Piker. Again, I don't know if you missed the part where I'm saying he's normalizing this type of language when we're criticizing Zionists, white supremacists. That's what I'm talking about. Again, he talks about being a propagandist, right? He talks about being a propagandist, right? So what he says and how he acts and how he speaks spreads and becomes normalized. Again, this whole fucking weird thing. Look, I don't call myself Catholic, right? There's these weird fucking categories that for whatever reason, your faith determines your fucking ethnicity somehow. When you're outright saying I'm an atheist, I don't practice that faith, I think you lose the ability to hide behind the shield of saying, oh, I'm a Muslim, right? You're denying, you're rejecting that identity. All right, let's move forward before this discussing that shit. Again, I'm a woke school though, so it's easy to dismiss. Again, this guy, Hassan Piker in the red pill space. Hassan Piker was the proto Andrew Tate. Remember that. Hassan Piker was the proto Andrew Tate.
Zohran Mamdani has been the most pliant to liberal Zionism. Like,
easily bent, fixable, easily influenced. All right. So we're all on the same page. Pliable. Pliant. We're on the same page, right? All right, sorry. So that we're all on the same page. He says pliant. You go look up pliant. You have to look up pliable. We go to pliable. Easily bent, fixable, easily influenced. Awesome. We're all on the same page. We're all on the same page.
after him because he's incredibly popular. And even though Zohran Mamdani has been the most pliant to liberal Zionism, like straight up every single day of the week.
What do you call somebody who is pliable to Zionism? And Walker compliant? I would call him a collaborator. Let's say, and this is how you know people really don't care about Palestinians, because you have to make this comparison for them to fucking grasp it. Let's say somebody was pliant to Nazis. What would you call that person? I call them a fucking Nazi. If somebody was pliant to Nazis, again, realize the fucking words that they use. They use it for a specific fucking reason, to misguide people, to muddy the waters. Hassan Piker talks about Palestinian. What does he call it? It's not liberation. It's not decolonization. It's emancipation. It's emancipation. And what that brings to mind, generally speaking here, slavery, right? Oh, but, freed African slaves, became part of the U.S., That's the way propaganda works. So now he's using the word pliant, because saying collaborator would spill the fucking beans.
He is literally throwing his body, okay, at anything that is even perceived as an offense against the direction of a Jewish person in the city of New York. These guys are still like waiting for the opportunity. Yes, Zohran Mamdani, okay, as I call him, Zohran. All jokes aside, he has been over the top, okay, not like for like normal mayoral duties. If there's like an anti-Semitic hate crime that happens, like you're the mayor, you're gonna say something about it. That's perfectly valid. But he's gone above and beyond, bro. He went to visit the grave of the Messiah, okay, or the Rebbe. Like he has done everything, okay?
And you still fucking support him. This is the frustrating part. This is why I appreciate when mass media, do these pointless fucking attacks that mean fucking nothing, and essentially saying Mamdani is not groveling enough to set a precedent, right? You don't want to reward Mamdani in his groveling, in his allegiance to liberal Zionism, or his normalization of liberal Zionism through his allegiance of Zionism. You don't want to reward that because, one, people might get some ideas to go a little further than him. No, you got to maintain constant pressure so whoever comes up next is going to be happy with those small victories. But two, because we see the pushback that he's getting, the smears that are coming at him and his partner, his wife, then instinctively we want to defend him. And automatically we ignore, push aside, or minimize his allegiance to Zionism through Jessica Tisch. You see how this shit fucking works? It's a fucking facade. It's a fucking show. Mamdani was getting too much pushback from the left, too much criticism. And so they rolled this shit out. And we automatically go into the defensive for him. We automatically forget that he's fucking playing us. Look what happened when the healthcare workers, the nurses, went on strike. He was marching alongside of them. And then the very same response group that he said he was being coy about dismantling or replacing, arrests those nurses protesting. Turns right around and endorses somebody who is unwilling to grant the nurses or to support the nurses in their demand for, better working conditions and higher wages. In fact, they align with the hospitals. What's her name? I would fucking always Mamdani endorse Lasner. No, not Lasner. No, not Lasner. Lasner's the Zionist, the outright Zionist. What is her name? Endorsed. She's running for New York. No. Shoot, what is her name? Not Tish, y'all. That's his police commissioner. She's running for Democratic. He's the mayor of New York. Jesus fucking Christ. Hochul. Thank you, chat. Thank you. Forgetting the white woman's name.
Okay. He's done the rounds and it does not matter. It's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because these people are not reasonably afraid of you. Okay. They're afraid of you because you're Muslim. Many of them are Islamophobic. They're also afraid of your popularity as an anti-Zionist voice. They will never let go.
So why placate to them? So if you know this, why would you excuse Mamdani continuously placating, collaborating with Zionists? Why would you not look at that and say, oh, he's a fucking comprador? He's using his identity to create a false sense of allyship, of representation, when what he's actually doing is normalizing, groveling, and working with and for Zionists. Why would you not oppose that so that people aren't misled next time? So people won't go out and organize on behalf of a fucking collaborator.
Okay, they will never let go. I know in New York politics, part of the job is to just manage different forces in the city. And
Zionists are just a force you have to manage by placating to them.
As a consequence of that, he wants the least amount of friction. Okay, he wants the least amount of friction because if he's constantly duking it out with Zionist groups in the city, then that's all he's going to do, and he's not going to be able to get anything else done. Okay?
How fucking pathetic is this? How fucking pathetic. Guys, he has to work with the Zionists. He has to work with them or else he can't get anything done. Bro, we're not asking him to launch like the fucking third intifada. What are you talking about? We're just asking him not to have a Zionist heir as his police commissioner. Is that so hard to ask? We're just asking him not to go out and defend these synagogues that are selling off Palestinian land. These are not hard asks. Remember, he's trying to downplay it because Mamdani came out and said, that in his administration, he's going to have Zionists across the spectrum. Let's see here. In his administration, Times of Israel. No.
I voted for Kamala Harris. You got a problem?
Thank you for the super chat, Hirotsu. Respectability politics. RP doesn't work. Do you mean RP doesn't work? Yeah. I was thinking PR. Who has that article? We've been over it before. Where he talks about he's not going to ask people if they're Zionists or not. I don't know why suddenly it's flooded with other random shit. Yeah, it's not going to be it either. God damn, I don't have that much time too. Got like 5 minutes. My apologies, y'all. Yeah, I'm not gonna find it. God damn, I thought I had that. Let's try this right now. Will Zohran have Is it this from the Free Press? I remember it being a larger publication. I think this is paywalled also, right? You know, I like having the receipts. I'm really, really fucking frustrated right now. Let me try this real quick. Oh well. And I think archives is down too, so I won't be able to find it.
Okay. So he has to play ball. I get that. Especially because he's not only Muslim, but visibly Muslim. He's brown. You are jealous she was liking Zayn.
Then we have 11 something, then we'll head out. 11:53.
Racist liberals are forgetting the art of woke. I mean, yeah, I don't really give a shit about wokeness at all.
When you accept the reactionary definition of woke, whatever the fuck that is, which is racism, then you turn around, I don't really give a shit about wokeness at all or whatever. Again, it's such a white fucking position to take. It's a reactionary one as well because you're accepting their redefinition, but it really is, hey, I don't want to be held accountable for the way I carry myself. It's fucking pathetic. Let's go to 1353.
This is the other part she liked, and she has every reason to like what she liked. This is the other part of the story. Zohran doesn't want to come out and just be like, dude, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Like, Israel is waging an illegal land grab. Just take ownership over some of her fucking likes and then move on. And if you want the...
He can't take ownership of his wife's likes because his actual policies don't align with whatever the fuck they're pretending to support. How many times does he have to align with Zionists before you realize that whatever they're trying to present themselves publicly, right? Whatever they're trying to present themselves to their fucking circle of friends, now unfortunately including Mahmoud Khalil, is just for fucking show. I don't give a fuck what they're liking. I don't give a fuck what they're saying or what they said 20 years ago or who they organized with. I care about what they're doing when they're in power. And if you want to act like his wife doesn't have any influence on him, you're delusional. Look at somebody like Hillary Clinton and what she got Bill Clinton to do. You're fucking delusional. And mind you, if we are being critical of her, how the fuck can you pretend to like and support all this shit? Armed resistant decolonization of Palestine and lay next to, hold hands with, stay with, for better or for worse, with somebody who is a fucking Zionist collaborator in Mamdani. How do you live a fucking lie if we're going to focus on her?
Discourse to actually be productive, you have to do that. But this is the one area where he is running scared, okay? I will say this sincerely. He is running scared. And many politicians also run scared.
He's running scared? No. He's not running scared. He's running in embrace, fully embracing of Zionism. That's what he's running towards. And to try to say, oh, a lot of other politicians do this too. Well, all those other politicians weren't using and weaponizing the Palestinian movement for their own benefit. Most of them were outright rejecting them. Zohran Mamdani was the one unique political candidate that was trying to weaponize the Palestinian movement for his own political gain, for his own fucking career. And that's what makes him more despicable. And that's why we have to call him out. And that's why I'm saying Mahmoud Khalil should be publicly voicing his concern against Mamdani's actions. I'm not saying he has to smear him. I'm not saying he has to curse him out. I'm not saying any of that. To use his prominence, his, cultural significance, capital, to say, hey, we cannot collaborate with Zionists. We cannot normalize liberal Zionism. It will sustain the Zionist entity. It will normalize their atrocities. I don't understand why that is such a radical position to take. Mamdani is here to sell out the Palestinian movement, He's here to be the brown Muslim face of empire. He's here to normalize liberal Zionism because, unfortunately, like we saw with the reaction to Jon Stewart's mocking of the assassination of the Ayatollah, people aren't accepting it from Europeans of the Jewish faith anymore. So you need a brown Muslim face to do it for them. The same way that we saw these compradors and the Black Mist leadership class serve empire and normalize things that no previous white president or white politician has been able to do. Now we're seeing it with Mamdani. Now we're going to see it because the Muslim community has shown their political organizing abilities and they have some weight. And more importantly, they have the sympathy of white liberals. And so you have to put a face up there to rebrand. That's what DSA is here for. And apparently pushing against that or calling that out is too difficult, or it just makes you a fucking hater. I don't know. But I'm a pretty difficult fucking person, and damn right, I'm a fucking hater. Damn fucking right. I gotta go get this dog a shower. Where are we at? If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the Patreon. Remember what Glenn Ford said, organize with eyes wide open. Appreciate y'all being here. The Beast by John Trudell. In a whiff of smoke down on the corner, there was this cat named Fortunate Lee, talking at me from voices in his head, yelling about what storyteller said. You got to be careful here, child. There's a beast in the promised land. There's a madness you don't understand. The beast is crazed and running wild. Little boy, man, little girl, woman, no big deal. Nothing personal. Your mind's another meal. Savoring the rush of you like heady wine, feeding is what the beast is meant to do. Stranger are those walls built to hide. Stranger to look and learn not to see. He's in the mask you put on your face. Thoughts, his favorite breeding place. In the race to midnight, it's after 11. The nature of the beast is all he knows. Behind doors of hell are gates of heaven. Doors are open, but the gates are closed. Ya estuvo.